Hey y'all, and welcome to Learn to Quilt, Lesson 7. Today in this lesson, I'll be showing you the things that you'll need in order to prepare to actually quilt your quilt. In the next video, I will show you, we'll actually get started actually quilting the quilt, but we're going to do the prep work today. So there's two basic types of quilting that I do on a regular basis. One is the straight line quilting, and one is free motion quilting. So basically, as the name suggests, straight line quilting would be quilting in a straight line. There's definitely different ways that it can be done. In this block here, you'll see I've done it on a diagonal. In this block here, I've done it around the block in a series of lines. In this block here, it's hard to tell, but I've actually done what's called stitch in the ditch, which is when you stitch right in your seam line. Or you can even do it, a certain seam allowance away from your stitching. The free motion quilting is actually done with a specialized foot, and you lower the feed dogs, and then you do it in kind of a wavy, meandering sort of pattern over your block. But I will be teaching the straight line quilting. Now, there's a few things that you will need in order to get started doing this. First off, you will need the proper needle. Now, you can either buy a specialized quilting needle in the size 90-14, or you can just use a regular universal or woven foot in the 90-14. Either one will work, but I do recommend getting the size 90-14. You'll also need thread. Now, you can either use machine quilting thread and make sure it's machine quilting and not hand quilting. It comes in a variety of colors and solid. You can get it in variegated, things like that. You can also use just regular all-purpose thread. I kind of just go back and forth between the two depending on what I have. Either one will work. You want to have a color for your quilt top. So you'll see in this one, a large part of my quilt is done in this off-white color. So I've quilted the entire quilt in this off-white color. You want to do a color that kind of blends. Again, so if it's mostly dark colors or you have a lot of blues or something, you could use, a variegated or a black or a blue, gray, something like that. If you have a light color, you have a lot of whites or a lot of creams, go with that color. You're also going to need a color for your quilt back. Now this quilt here on the back, I actually just used off-white. But in this quilt that I did here, I did a gray on the back. So you want to make sure you have a thread that will match the backing color. Your bobbin thread will be done in your backing color, and then your spool will be done in your top color. I would recommend for your back of your quilt on your bobbins that you wind several, 2 or 3 of them, just so that when your bobbin thread runs out, that you don't have to sit and rethread and wind a bobbin at that time. You can just switch out the bobbin to a next one. I usually wind 2 to 3 or even 4 depending on the size of my quilt so that I have them ready to go. So once you have your thread and your needles, one thing I will suggest that definitely helps when doing the quilting is a walking foot. Now, a lot of machines today will actually come with a walking foot, or you can purchase one. They're not too terribly expensive, but it looks kind of like a regular sewing foot, but it's got this big kind of attachment on the back. And what this does is it ensures that all 3 of your layers will go through your machine together. They're sometimes with the pressure of the top foot and the feed dogs, they can move the fabric through unevenly, even if you have it basted or pinned or used the adhesive. This just helps and prevents the fabric, especially the top fabric, from puckering. You can do it without one of these. You just have to go a little bit slower, take your time, but I would definitely suggest getting one of these. So I hope you're ready to go. You grab all your supplies. Your quilt top has been put with your batting and your backing, and pinned or basted or spray adhesived, and you're ready. And then in the next lesson, we will get started actually doing our quilting.